Now, your stories, your struggles, and your successes. This is Focus on South Florida.
Good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to Focus on South Florida. I'm CBS 4's Chief Investigative Reporter, Michelle Gillen. This morning, we're going to dive in and tackle some very tough community issues with the hope of finding solutions. Up first, we're bombarded by those headlines: mental illness, the suffering coming out of the shadows, but the cost in human life and more incalculable. Add on drug addiction and the impact on law enforcement and families, it's just overwhelming. And that's why the Broward Crime Commission every year tries to put a face to the crisis and to answers. And their conference is coming up April 11th, and you'll want to be involved. James DePelisi, president of the Broward Crime Commission, joins us. I've so looked forward to this interview because you have so much passion every year of really putting together cutting-edge speakers, getting the science, and as you put it, just this week, another headline of, heartbreaking, but that seems to be the nexus of mental illness and so many other problems.
That's correct, Michelle, and thank you for having me today. Our organization's been around since 1976, and we, in a nutshell, what the Crime Commission does in Broward County is we provide solutions to the criminal justice system in concert with the criminal justice system on behalf of the general public. And there's many initiatives that we have, but over the past year, we decided to really get a grasp around mental illness and mental health.
And isn't it about time? Because I mean, we've been seeing the underpinnings of this for so long, and now finally, after so much carnage, and the cost goes in full circle from the victims to the family of the person who may be the shooter. I mean, does it seem to be exploding?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was just an event recently this week, and it seems that it's becoming more and more prevalent on a monthly basis now, dating back to 2012. And we decided that due to that and some other issues, we needed to address it. And what we found out, without being experts in this field, is that there's a lot of fragmentation going on between law enforcement, the criminal justice system, the professionals that treat the mentally ill. And what our role is to just try to bridge everybody together. So that's why the name of our event that we're doing on April 11th is Building Bridges. And we did one in November. We had over 200 people, and we want to keep them going on a quarterly basis. And the more that we get involved, it seems that there's more and more discussion, and there's more solutions coming up. We have panel discussions, and that's really what we can do.
And also, it's an incentive and also a pat on the back for those scientists and those in law enforcement and the judicial world who are trying to make a difference out there, to say, we're recognizing what you're doing, and we need to get the community involved. And this is something that anyone can come to and attend.
Most certainly, because it crosses all boundaries. And I think everybody has their own story that they can relate to.
Yes, that is true.
And you've done some yeoman's work, admirable work with some of the reports that you've done.
Thank you.
But there's a paradigm here, if I can touch on that a little bit, of nonviolent mentally ill offenders that are being sentenced to prison where they probably shouldn't be in that type of facility. They need to be in a treatment facility. And then there's undiagnosed mentally ill people that are committing some of these crimes, these shootings. So, we need to basically address this and find out what we can do to somewhat get traction, to at least have some insight, some intuition to try to stop these violent acts that are taking place, and also get the people that shouldn't be incarcerated the proper treatment that they need. So
because there is so little treatment available that is the proper treatment, and then if the wrong people are getting that, and then of course we know the situation of the Miami-Dade jail, which is we've been reporting on for years, having the mentally ill just incarcerated there is just a nightmare. It's a disaster. Then you add in this role of drug addiction, drug use, and which really seems so rampant. We've done a lot of stories here on the emergence or the reemergence of heroin, Molly, the instance of that, the Ultra Festival that was just here, questions and concern about how many of those young people might be on drugs. This network is a powder keg.
Yeah, well, it almost seems like the different levels of drugs that are on the street these days is almost like a drug game, a chess game, rather, between the people that are dealing and distributing drugs and law enforcement. I mean, Broward Sheriff's Office, under the President Administrator and the former sheriff, have done a great job with the pill mills. But the bath salts as well. But since that's been nullified, now heroin's emerging again.
Exactly. Well, because they would have had after the pill mills, but it seems to me, at least from their investigation, that not a lot of thought was put in place to be sure that there were treatment centers for those who had been addicted. You know, you just can't cut off from oxycodone and all. And so it really should have been, that kind of trend into heroin should have been predicted.
Perhaps, and I don't disagree with you on that. It just came about so quickly, and so now there's been forces pretty much emerged on that front line to try to combat that.
Yes.
Once again, our organization pretty much does the studies. We prevent them to the frontline law enforcement individuals, and I think you're going to see them getting a hand on that pretty soon.
I just think it's fantastic. I mean, we were mentioning before we went on here about, you know, the famous crime commissions that was at New York.
Yeah, and Chicago were two of the first two that were found. There's 22 nationally, and it's great to have them. They're citizen crime commissions because they can give a purview and perspective that maybe law enforcement doesn't have access to. A lot of people involved in these citizens crime commissions, such as ours, have a lot of corporate individuals with corporate backgrounds that are involved. And
because your background, what is your background?
My background's economics and finance. So
How did
20 years ago, if you thought I'd be involved with the crime commission, I probably would have said no at that particular. Not that my heart wasn't dedicated towards that.
How did you stumble into it?
Well, I ran for public office in the city of Sunrise in 2005, and essentially I met the founder of the Broward County Crime Commission.
Who
Frank
was
Pinter.
that? I wonder if
Frank Pinter. He was a Hollywood resident, and he ran for sheriff back in 1968.
Yes.
Became pretty much a mentor to me in so many ways.
Isn't that great?
Essentially, you know, he brought me on. I became the president in 2006, and he passed away, unfortunately, in 2007, and I've been just trying to do the right thing for the right cause and the right reasons.
That's fantastic. I know we're both Queens kids originally, right?
Yes.
Well, I think what you're doing in this is amazing. Tell us about who's going to be speaking this upcoming one, where it is, how people might be able to attend.
Well, we're going to have approximately 8 speakers, and it's going to cover all different aspects of mental health and drug addiction. It's going to be at the Deerfield Beach Doubletree Hilton off of Hillsborough Boulevard, 995.
Okay.
And essentially, just paraphrasing, we have Dr. Michael Alicia, who's actually a police officer with Coral Gables Police Department. He's also a PhD psychologist.
Fantastic.
He's going to be addressing some of the things that are associated with suicide by law enforcement individuals themselves, as well as them noting and basically understanding someone that might be in that situation.
Sure.
You know, there's some issues.
The crisis intervention teams and all that, which we've made so much progress with.
And then we have Al Ortenzo, who's the former assistant police chief of Fort Lauderdale. He's going to be talking about some of the drugs that are more prevalent on the street right now, how the diversion has taken place from the substances we were talking about into heroin now and things of that nature. So,
and I know there's also going to have a focus in some of the speeches on the power of faith and believing in healing and that aspect of drug addiction. I mean, I think it's terrific.
That's a whole other topic.
Left mind, right brain, left brain, everybody is turning out for this.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that our organization does is we go out 3 times a week, and we basically go to facilities and prison facilities, and we go to mental health clinics, and we do spiritual studies with them.
Wow.
So that's a little bit off the cuff caveat work that we do.
Well, I think it's very pioneering. How do you get funded? Because, you know, we love things that work, and so often, you know, it's tough to get funding. Where do you get your funding from?
Well, we've never been one to basically, you know, say donate money to us. We're just going about it the traditional, you know, hard work, ethical way of doing it, and we have a lot of corporate sponsors, a lot of corporations that are involved with us. And essentially, we do events like what we're doing on April 11th to basically, you know, cover the bills and essentially have some money that we can put towards certain programs.
What is the fee to attend?
The fee to attend is $65 if you're an educator or a law enforcement individual, $75 for everyone else. And you can go to browardcrime.org, www.browardcrime.org, or you can call us at 954-803-2139, and we'll go ahead and try to help you.
Well, that's great. So, you know, I mean, if you want to support this amazing effort, because it really is, you know, attending, you'll learn something, and also those dollars go to, you know, keep this project going. Finally, we got to meet. I've heard so much about you.
Greatly appreciated.
Your entire staff is fabulous whenever I talk to them, and I really wish you a wonderful conference. I know it's going to be great.
And Godspeed to all the good work that you're doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our pleasure.